Welcome back, everyone. Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on a United show today, Devil's Advocate, and today I'm joined by a fantastic panel here this evening to preview again the biggest fixture in English football, Manchester United versus Liverpool. And today, to the right of me, I'm joined by Jamie McCoy from All for United, and also the newest member to the Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast crew. Then below me, I'm joined by Wexford FC winger and Liverpool fan Jack Doherty. And to the right of Jack, we are joined by Dominic from the United Source MUFC YouTube channel. So I'm joined by a fantastic panel here this evening. So first of all, we're just going to get crack into it straight away. Manchester United, Liverpool, two of the biggest clubs in England, coming up against each other in the FA Cup this weekend. Both teams, in terms of form, they've both been kind of on the up and down all season. Like Manchester United now top of the league at the moment. Liverpool does on the back now of a defeat against Burnley. Obviously, both teams played each other in the Premier League on last Sunday. 0-0 draw, but actually it was a good game of football. It didn't tell the full story of what a 0-0 draw usually would be. That being said, obviously massive game for both sides. Even though both of them are probably concentrating on the league more than the FA Cup, but at the end of the day, the FA Cup and the magic of the FA Cup will always be there. So for both teams, it's a chance to add a bit of silverware to the many pieces of silverware they already have. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to look back to the midweek fixtures. Obviously, Manchester United played Fulham away from home, Craven Cottage, and Liverpool also played Burnley at Anfield. So Dominic, I'm just going to come to you first in terms of Manchester United's game against Fulham. How would you assess our performance away from home at Craven Cottage? Tough place to go because Fulham have been kind of a good side in recent weeks. They picked up a lot of points.
Yeah, you know what, right? I said it before, and before the game started, I knew it. I knew it. We always start slow, or we start really fast, and then just deflate like a balloon at a children's kids party. And we're like, oh god, here we go. It's a weird one. And I looked at Fulham, and I looked at them, and I looked at the last 6 games. They've drawn 5 and lost 1 to Chelsea with 10 men, and they're playing really well. And I said, that tells me that they're a resilient team. They're very hard to beat. So I said, we need to go out of the blocks. We need to be like a horse on steroids and just absolutely go for them, right? But we didn't. we have that situation where we just don't do it. And Ollie's been trying to figure it out for weeks and weeks and weeks. Why we have this mentality that we need to go down to win a game. I don't like it, but at the moment, I've said it so much. We are on a developmental journey where we just got to take the win in this weird season. I'm going to say the U word. It's unprecedented. We know that, right? We've got to take the win and get the points how we can. For me, what won that game was individual brilliance and the class of players that we have. We can see that Pogba, despite all the news and all the ruckus and stuff, he's a world-class player and he bailed us out. And I was happy with that win because I know who we are and where we are in our journey, and we just need to pick up points. No matter how we're doing it, we'll get new players, we'll keep improving, and that'll be good for us. So for me, a tough game, but all I care about is the points at this moment.
Yeah, and that's you're absolutely right. And look, for me, I feel the exact same. I thought 2-1 win, absolute smash and grab. Again, individual brilliance, Paul Pogba, bail us out with a fantastic weak foot finish from range. You also look at players like Edison Cavani, who I thought on and off the ball was fantastic against Fulham. His work rate from tracking back and winning back the ball is something that I really appreciate, and he's a player who I think should feature this weekend. Against Liverpool, but. Again, it's 3 points on the board. It's win at all costs. Obviously, it's a close league this year. You have the likes of Manchester City, you have Liverpool, you have Leicester City now who are in the mix now as well, and even the likes of Tottenham Hotspur who can definitely make a statement in the next couple of weeks as well. When you consider all of that, there is a lot of teams in there, and you have to pick up points every week. I don't think there's any room for error considering the fact that there's so many teams there who are being competitive and they're all quality. So for me, I share the same feeling, Dominic. I think it was good to get the 3 points, and look, we do move on now to the FA Cup this weekend because look, for Ollie, I think it's very important this season. If we're on a trajectory now where yes, we need to challenge the league this season, but I think it's very important in the cup competitions this year, such as the Europa League and the FA Cup that are remaining for us, that we do make a real charge at them also, because if Ollie wins a trophy this year, and let's say he goes on a title challenge this year, but let's say Manchester City win it or Liverpool or whoever that may be, let's say we give a good tilt to the league, but if we go and we win a trophy such as the FA Cup or the Europa League, what that does do is it instills a winning mentality in the dressing room, and then maybe next season then you can go on and make a proper charge for the league after getting a couple of reinforcements in the summer. Um, Jack, I'm going to come to you, obviously, with regards to your midweek fixture against Burnley. Liverpool at the moment, it seems to be struggling up front. But again, people always look to your defensive woes at the moment with Van Dijk and Gomez being out. For you, how would you assess kind of your most recent performance at home to Burnley? And do you think that result was common considering what's been happening the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I feel it was. It is coming like with the last few weeks. We haven't been nowhere near what Liverpool have been, which is going to be expected. You can't go 4 years the way they've gone. They've done the last 3 years. They've been unbelievable. And it's the same kind of group of players. Really, they haven't been much change. So the last few weeks they've been miles off it, and they haven't been nowhere near what Liverpool have been recently. But it's the league this year is just all up in the air. And then you had them 3 games with the international break as well, which they didn't need. So it's just crazy. And for me, I think the forwards, like for example, the Salah against United, with Luke Shaw, one stage he got the ball facing them up 1v1, and he just turned around and passed it backwards. That's not like Salah. For me as a forward, you have to go at the defenders 1v1 all day. Even if you lose the ball, keep going at, make something happen. Out of nothing. And that's what Pogba did for you the other day. That game could have easily been a draw. He could have lost points, individual brilliance, and he stuck the ball in the far corner. That's what Liverpool are lacking lately. It's the likes of someone like Mane, Firmino, who's usually decent in and around the box, who makes something happen. They haven't been making anything happen. And the same with the 2 fullbacks. They've been nowhere near what they've been like. Trent has been a totally different player this year so far. So, look, them players will come back around. They will turn it around because they're world class players. You're not going to be down the dumps forever, So I think they will turn it around, but they have to get a move on quick because other teams will just keep picking up points and getting away from them, So look, it's not the end of the world either, but 68 games unbeaten at home is phenomenal, So that's going to have to come to an end at some stage, So look, we'll move on to the Spurs game could be the game to get them back up for it. They have a tough run of fixtures coming up, So, but that could be the changing point for Liverpool as well,
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I'd like to ask you just with regards to that, Jack, do you think maybe the loss of Diogo Jota, the injury to him, has maybe affected your front 3? Because when he was there in the mix, Klopp had the facility to rotate the front 3/front 4, and he provided competition which kept your forward players on their toes. Do you think maybe his injury, even though he wasn't first choice, but do you maybe think that injury maybe affected yourselves?
Yeah, 100%. He was the most informed of our front players before he got injured. Really, he played in a dead rubber game against that. Who were they playing against? Midtjylland, was it?
Yeah, Midtjylland in the Champions League. Yeah.
It's a dead rubber game. They were through already. He didn't have to play him, So, he rotated the front players yesterday, and I can understand when with giving Salah and them a break, you're not going to get to play him in every single game, and they're not doing it, so they have to be changes there, And if Jota was there, be a big difference, That game, Liverpool could have easily won that game. Origi's chance was a sitter, one on one, wide open goal. A fella at that level should be scoring them, taking them chances, That's not down to Klopp, Klopp done right in making the changes, I think, anyway, because they only played Sunday. They're playing again Thursday, playing again Sunday, playing again Thursday. You have to change it around, but we just don't have the quality to do that at the minute,
Yeah, and I think squad depth, which is something we're going to come to later on in the show, but I think that's something that's maybe affected Liverpool massively. Jamie, I'm just going to come to you, obviously, just quickly on both games. What would be your overall assessment kind of on both Manchester United and Liverpool's performances this week?
If I start with our fixture, obviously, it was a good test of character for us. I think we're getting into a habit of winning ugly sometimes. I think we played some good football against Fulham, but I feel like they're the games last season that we would have drawn. So definitely progression with regards to going forward and progressing this season as a team. We've obviously brought in a little bit more quality. You mentioned Cavani. I think me and Dom have had chats about Cavani before on different platform. Brilliant player, brings the experience, brings the know-how, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic against Fulham. But we're starting to see individual bits of brilliance from Manu, but we're also starting to see a really good team effort as well, which is very good characteristics in a team. And I always say it, but sometimes you've got to win ugly, and sometimes it does take a little bit of quality from one player. And we seem to be getting into a habit of grinding out games, particularly like sort of when we're only a goal ahead. Them games last season, we draw them games, or we run out of ideas. Now we've got different options, and we're not even seeing the likes of Mata and the likes of Van der Beek. They're still available as well. They're different types of players, so we've got options there to mix up the games. And like Jack just said about Liverpool, like we're in the position now where we're going to have to start rotating as well. I think Bruno Fernandes needs a rest. Potentially, I don't think he'll get it at the weekend because it's too much of a big game. And if you're telling Bruno Fernandes he's not playing against Liverpool, knowing the way he is, he'll probably scold Ollie. So it's a case of I can't see him leaving him out because it's such a big game. But I do feel like in the next few weeks, we're going to have to start rotating, and it's nice to have the quality to do it. But we've got to be very careful that when we're rotating, we're not dropping points, because I think it will happen eventually. But we've just got to keep consistent and be professional, and just, I can't stress enough, take one game at a time. And that's the key to success for me this season. De Bruyne is injured now. Liverpool are out of form. Leicester's playing good football, but we've got some tough games coming up. So I feel like if we can ride out the storm and get 3 points in this tough run of fixtures, I feel like we're going to be there or thereabouts. But Don nailed it on the head with ours with the United game anyway. And just touching on Liverpool, first of all, nice to meet you, Jack. Anyway, first time I've seen you on here. I know you've been on here before, but first time with me, so nice to meet you anyway, mate. Liverpool, I was quite shocked at the result, to be honest. Obviously, very happy. Sorry, Jack, but seeing that result. But I think Jack just hit the nail on the head. I feel like Liverpool's team's going a little bit stale in certain areas, and you've got to freshen it up from time to time. They've been unfortunate that Jota did get injured. He was a player I actually wanted United to go after in the summer, and he ended up going to Liverpool. I just think he's a brilliant player. I've seen him a lot when he was at Porto, at Atletico Madrid, and now with Wolves and Liverpool. Great player. Always liked him. So I was a bit gutted that he went to Liverpool. But I feel like with him in that front three, they could have probably took a Salah out or a Mane, who are a little bit out of form at the moment. But they seem to be struggling at the moment. I don't quite know what it is. I don't know if it's just the way it's going for them, whether it's just a lack of quality in certain areas. I think it's probably a little bit of both. They've just been unfortunate, but I think Klopp will address the issues in the summer with regards to them not having a recognised centre forward. Bobby Firmino ain't going to get you 25 goals a season. You put a Haaland or someone in that team, they're a force again because they get goals when they need them. It's the same with any team. We have to look at the striking situation as well. Obviously, talking about Liverpool here, so I don't want to go into United, but Cavani's not going to be there forever. So I think they will look at it. They will address it. They're going to bring a midfielder in probably at Liverpool in the summer because Wijnaldum's apparently on his way. I don't know too much about it, and I'm not on the inside scoop on that, but apparently he doesn't want to sign the deal. So maybe they need a couple of fresh faces as well. Ferguson was always good at bringing fresh faces in at the right times, and that's why we had so much success. You need a good squad to win the Premier League, and it's very hard to play that amount of games and use the same players. So it'll be interesting going forward for Liverpool. Obviously, I was happy to see them drop points because I'm a Man United fan, but from their perspective, I feel like they can turn up at any time and hit someone for 6. So I'm a bit concerned about Sunday because I feel like it's the perfect opportunity for them to get up. Klopp's got the ammunition he needs to say, look, everybody's writing us off, go and make a statement. So it'll be a tough game. We've got to be resilient, but I feel like Ollie's probably learned quite a lot from last week and probably felt like he missed an opportunity. And I think he'll go after it on Sunday.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that Sunday is an opportunity for us to make a statement, and not so much even like I know it's a cup game, but like I think for the mentality of Liverpool, I think if Manchester United go there and they win the game, it could send them on a more downward trajectory in terms of that. But Dominic, I'm just going to come to you. Obviously, Jamie is after raising a point that I was actually going to raise to you at the start of the show. In terms of Bruno Fernandes, look, he's been since he's arrived since last January. You've seen my social media. I'm probably one of the biggest Bruno FC representatives you'll probably find on Twitter. Like, do you know what I mean? He's my favorite player for Manchester United, and he embodies everything what a Manchester United player should be. But he's been playing though like nearly every game since he signed for the club, and I think we're in the last couple of games. Yes, he hasn't had his best performances, but like to be fair, he's been our biggest contributor since he's come to the club, and eventually, as we see with forwards and midfielders, eventually there is a time for burnout, and some of these players do need a rest. Considering this is a big rivalry and this is the FA Cup, do you think Bruno Fernandes should get a rest this weekend, considering our league position with the midweek game against Sheffield United coming up, or do you maybe think he starts this weekend against Liverpool? What would be your stance on that?
Keane, honestly, there's more chance of me playing up front in that game than Bruno Fernandes getting a rest. There's no chance that Bruno is not playing that game. Ollie does not know how to rest guys. He saw right that he came out today and said Lindelof's, yeah, I think his back will be okay. We'll just put some plasters on it and he'll be back for the weekend. I said to myself, surely this guy's got a bad back. Go and let him freaking sort out his back and then play him when he's ready. Ollie has turned Bruno into Harry Maguire. He has to play every game because Ollie can't. I love Ollie. I love what he's doing. I love the direction he's bringing the team in. I've got so much time for him. I think he's great. And but the one thing I think about Ollie is that he just doesn't know when to give someone a break. And I hope we don't find out the hard way, because if Bruno gets an injury, we'll be like, oh no, should we have rested him? But not even for this match. Before, I'm talking about games long before. Should we have rested him? But there's no way we can rest Bruno Fernandes in this game. Even when he has an average game, we still know that he can pull something out the bag. That goal we scored of Cavani was his cross. I don't know why they gave him the assist. He's obviously paying someone. But like Bruno makes an impact. He makes an impact. So we have to play our best players. He will not rest him at all. I tweeted it and I said before, our most important game is the next game. 100%. He said he's going to rotate, but he doesn't rotate Bruno. Rotating Bruno, he can't see it. He doesn't know how to work it out. The maths don't add up. For me, if I was the manager, which will never happen, I would play Bruno and then rest him the next game. Who's in our next game again? Who is it? Sheffield
United. Yeah, Old Trafford. Yeah.
This is the thing. I would rest him, but unless Bruno gets an injury, Ollie won't rest him for Sheffield United either. As long as he always comes out and says, Bruno always lets me know if he wants to play. Like it's like a kid saying, "Can I go to the park?" But he never says
Bruno
to
FC.
him. Yeah, he never says to him, "But Bruno, you know what, mate? I know you want to play. I know you want to play, but come on, man. You've been playing loads of games." He'll be like, "Okay, Bruno, yeah, have a good time on the pitch." Bless him. But yeah, it's a big game. We can't be resting Bruno for this big game. He's an elite player. He brings the whole team up. And you know what the best thing he does? Psychologically, he puts the fear into Liverpool players. Even if he didn't have a good game, they don't know this is going to be the game. Doesn't have a good game. So we have to play Bruno. He's one of our best players. And I think he's got a point to prove, because that last game he played against Liverpool wasn't great. I think he wants to be like, you know what, I need to make this up. So let me go and do something different.
Yeah, I think, look, for me, it's a catch-22 for me, because, like, again, as I say, like, he's my favourite player in the Manchester United shirt, but there's always that thing in the back of my head. If we overplay him, he could get injured. But I think the way we have to do is we have to take it game by game. And I think if you're probably looking at it from the perspective of maybe if these two fixtures, you probably rest him against Sheffield United, because we have enough in the squad to probably make a couple of changes and beat them at Old Trafford in that regard. But look, we'll see what happens in this Sunday's game. Jack, I'm just going to come to you kind of on Manchester United, because I've kind of asked the lads questions recently just with regards to United. I talked to them on this channel and I talked to both of them on All for United also. But I just want to kind of come to you about Manchester United's kind of current season as a whole, kind of from the outside, from an opposition view. Kind of how would you kind of assess Manchester United's season so far?
Yeah, look, they've been decent. Like, they haven't been beating up trees, but they've been getting results, and that's what all that matters in the league. Is if you're getting 3 points, don't matter how you play. Once you get 3 points, get 3 points. Like, but yeah, they've been reliant on Bruno a lot. Especially the start of the season for the first 12, 14 games. And well, 10, 11 games, really. They've been relying on him a lot. But recently, he hasn't been, the last 4 games, he hasn't been beating up trees for you. It's been Pogba, really. The last couple of games has been unbelievable. So, you've been very good. You've been solid. You know, you've the right play. You've good forwards, and that's always going to give you a chance in games if you have good forwards, you know, to create stuff, and people with that bit of individual quality, you know. Yeah, Pogba the other night, you know, it's little things like that mean the world to teams, you know, and they give them a boost as well, you know. But they've been doing well, you know. It'll be interesting to see now when they come up. They get a tough run of fixtures with the Europa League coming back as well, you know. It'd be interesting to see once we start getting deeper into the season what it'll be like. But for me, I think it's City really at the minute. They'll be the team. I think that they've been just unbelievable lately, and their defence has been outstanding, you know. So if they can keep close to them, really, I think they'll be the team to beat this year, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, look, when you look at Manchester City, they are a great side, and I think Ruben Diaz and John Stones have been the standouts. I know Kevin De Bruyne has been pulling up trees for him, and he's been playing fantastic, and though Riyad Mahrez has been a great player for them this year also. But when you look at now the centre back pair, and they finally found that, though, post Vincent Kompany, they finally found that pairing that's at the shoring them up at the back. Because last season we've seen Fernandinho playing centre half. You've seen Laporte play there, but he's injury prone. But looks like now they found the right balance. I think defensively for them, that's very good, because it allows Pep Guardiola then to play that kind of expansive style. But I still wouldn't rule out Manchester United for a title challenge, because the squad we do have a lot of squad depth there. Like, there's players like Donny van de Beek, players like Mason Greenwood, players like even like Juan Mata, who can still contribute in games, and they're not playing much games. So like, I think squad rotation, if Ollie, like, I know Dominic alluded to earlier on the show that Ollie doesn't know the rest players, but if Ollie can start using in-game management and start building, in terms of squad rotation, it could be very important for United maybe to be in the mix come maybe April, May time, when we are getting towards the running. Because when it comes to the running, you need all your squad. It's not just 10, 12, 13 players. You need a solid 18, 19 players who can all contribute. And we've seen with title winning teams, you've seen the United teams down the years, you've seen the Chelsea's teams under Mourinho. All them teams had a fantastic depth in their squad, and what that did was a siege mentality. And what it also did do is that if a player knew if they weren't playing well, there's someone there ready to snap their head off and take that place ahead of them. So I think it's very, very important for United's point of view that if the first team aren't on form, you do have players like the Van de Beeks, you do have the players like the Greenwoods, though even Martial to an extent, players like that who can step up when needed. And I think from our point of view, it's very important that our squad gets utilised over the course of the season. Just kind of coming to Liverpool's kind of problems at the moment, Dominic, I'm just going to come to you on this with regards to, I'm going to come to Jamie also, because kind of looking from the outside with regards to that. Like, you look at Liverpool's team over the last kind of 3 or 4 years, they've been fantastic. They've got the 2 Champions League finals, won one, lost one. They've been high these in terms of the points tallies in the league. Even when they didn't win it, they got 97 points. Like, for you, Dominic, where do you think this is going wrong for Liverpool? Do you maybe think, is this the squad depth? Is it lack of motivation? Like, where do you think this dip in form is coming for Liverpool?
You know what it is? It's not, it's not just Liverpool. It's what's happening for the rest of the teams too. There's a weird situation where big teams are losing games. No one's always winning. There's not a clear leader. It's not only that they've lost Van Dijk, which is the bedrock and the foundation of their attacking play, their defensive play, their morale, their personality in the changing rooms. Huge loss. But a team like Liverpool can get over that. Even they're playing Fabinho and Henderson at centre back, and we couldn't touch them. It makes me feel sick, but we couldn't touch them. They're I call them, they're like a slipper. When you play with Liverpool, anybody can put that slipper on and just go into that system. They've got a system. It's nice and warm. It's fantastic, right? But the problem is that this season is such a weird season that without the crowd, that has made a massive difference. If you're going to Liverpool and you're hearing, "Oh, you never walk alone" and stuff, you're intimidated. Not only are you playing against the 11 people on the pitch, you're playing against thousands of people saying, oh no, you let the boy out play, you're a loser, all this different stuff. It's hard to play against that. So I think what it is, they got the pressure to retain the league. They've had major injuries in the likes of Thiago, Van Dijk, Jota, who at the start of the season was playing amazing. That's been terrible for them. But also, it's what they find themselves in. Teams are drawing more than they've ever drawn before in the season. The crowd's not there. You're going on BT Sports Guy, and you have to play like FIFA sounds. It's not the same thing. So I think it's a culmination of all these different aspects. But I still think Liverpool will be fighting for the league this season, without a shadow of a doubt. Like the gap between first and sixth or seventh is nothing, couple of points. So I do think that Man City are posed to win it, just because they've got that sort of DNA and that sort of, what do you call it? You call that muscle memory. They know how to do it. They know how to win it. But yeah, I think Liverpool, it's just been a culmination of just being bad luck, a weird season, and the pressure of keeping it and retaining that trophy.
Yeah, and Jamie, like, do you echo Dominic's thoughts on that? Like, in terms of like the slip up, do you maybe think this is a thing that all big teams are suffering from at the moment? Like, you look at teams like Manchester City at the start of the season, they weren't picking up results at home. They drawn to the likes of West Brom, losing to Leicester at home. Do you maybe think that are like Liverpool just hitting that patch of form just like the other big teams did this season as well?
Yeah, I agree with everything Dom said. I feel like you don't have that quality of player like you're talking about Van Dijks, the Thiagos, the Jotas. You don't have that quality of player not available. And no one's mentioning either, but Gomez is out as well, who was a starting centre-back with, I know he sort of rotated with Matip, but he's a big prospect for Liverpool, really good player. So he's out as well. And then they didn't have Matip last week against us as well. And I echo what Don said. I was a bit annoyed that we didn't get at them a little bit more, because that defence, although Fabinho has played centre-back at Monaco, I felt like we missed a little bit of a trick. But yeah, I feel like, I don't think it's necessarily lack of motivation. I feel like sometimes it's hard to go again when you've kind of, they got to the milestone, didn't they? That they broke the duck with the Premier League title. And I feel like, instead of sort of looking at it and analysing it and thinking, right, we've got to the promised land, so to speak now. Like you said, they've been fantastic for years under Klopp. They've been a really good, solid team for the best part of 4 years now under Klopp. And he's finally got his team in place. And when he's just got the finished jigsaws, all of a sudden the pieces start getting injured. And if they have a fully fit squad all season, that whoever finishes above Liverpool wins the league, in my opinion, because they're that good. And they are, and it's hard to say from a Man United fan's point of view, but they are the standard. Like, when they're all fully fit and firing, that front three has been absolutely lethal for years. They give me nightmares, that front three, particularly Mane. I think he's absolutely unplayable on his day. But I feel like they probably lack in the market where I don't want to keep bringing Ferguson up, because I feel like we've kind of got to let it go a little bit. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is because we won titles, and then he sort of seen where he could sort of maybe bring a Varane in to think, right, okay, so you just think he's comfortable in that midfield, do you? Bang. There's an Argentinian international that was absolutely fantastic at Lazio. Now we'll bring him into the mix. Now let's see who wants to play. And it just kept us on our toes all the time. And I feel like Liverpool haven't necessarily done that in key areas of the team. I mean, I know they bought Jota in and Thiago, which are great signings in the summer, but they bought like a young left back in from Greece. And they've not necessarily went out and picked specific players like that. They were quite happy with the back four. I don't particularly think Matip and Gomez are the standard that Liverpool want. I know someone mentioned in the comment they're linked to Botman from Ajax. So maybe he's looking at that and thinking, right, I probably need a starting centre-back. And maybe, obviously, Van Dijk's going to play when he's fit. He's best centre-back in the world. Maybe they didn't bring them particular players in. I don't watch Liverpool enough to analyse the whole squad. Jack will know where they needed to strengthen, but I felt like they probably didn't go out and get that centre forward, that proper striker, like and to keep that front three motivated. And I feel like it's coming back to bite them a little bit because Bobby Firmino, for me, I said it earlier, he's not going to get you 20, 25 goals. And I know Mane and Salah score a lot of goals for Liverpool, and Bobby sort of does his thing and more sets them up. But when them two are not firing, and Jota's injured, they don't have another option bar Origi. And I personally don't rate Origi. I don't think he's a bad player, but he's not Liverpool standard. But you're not going to have a team full of world-class players. But I feel like maybe over the years, Liverpool have not necessarily done that. If you look at their midfield, take Thiago out of the equation, they've been there a long time, all them players, your Wijnaldums, your Hendersons. So I don't know. I don't think it's a lack of motivation. I think it's just a lack of not wanting to freshen things up. So that's my take on it. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see. I see like you've always got to be looking for that next phase. And another thing that people ain't talking about, is Klopp really motivated now though? Like I feel like he is, but he's won it all. Like the Fergusons and the Wengers, them managers don't exist no more. Managers don't hang around for too long anymore, and that's just the way it is. I know Klopp's been there a long time. He's done a massive rebuild job, but I think if you ask him deep down what he can do, all he can do is win what he's already won. So is his motivation going a little bit? I don't know. His attitude seems to be changing a little bit. He seems to be getting a little bit more grumpy at times, but maybe that's because his team ain't winning. And he's a born winner, isn't he? He's an absolutely fantastic manager, arguably the best manager in the world. But that's my take on things anyway. Maybe he's looking at the Germany job, and maybe they just need to freshen up in certain areas. That's my opinion anyway. I don't know if I'm right because I don't study Liverpool enough to realise what's the ins and outs of the situation. But yeah, sorry, I went
Jack,
on.
what would be your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, I think we do need to freshen up in certain areas, but I wouldn't say Klopp's not motivated or anything like that. I just think everyone wants to be winning all the time. It's just he probably wasn't expecting things to be going the way they are now, and bad luck with injuries and all that, and they don't have the strength and depth to come off the bench and make a change, like make a difference when things are not going well, Origi and them, they're not, personally, I don't think they're up to it anyway. Origi is not going to come on and replace Salah and change the game, and you seen it last night. He had the best chance of the game. They scored after. They're going to win the game, simple as that, but yeah, I just think that we do need to freshen things up a bit and add a few players, I don't know, like, to be honest, I'd say when Alderman looks like he's going to be gone, so, and like Klopp is not going to buy players that he don't think they're right, if they're not available till the summer, he's going to wait till the summer, he's not going to just buy a player in January because everyone else says you need to buy this fella, that's not the way Klopp does it, and he'll bide his time and wait till he signs the right player, they're obviously going to be linked with players and stuff like that, but I just think Klopp will wait, and once the player comes available, Klopp will go and get him, and that's just the way he operates. He don't just go out and sign a player because everyone says, oh, you need to strengthen in this area. He's not going to do it. He's ways of doing things, and that's just the way Klopp is, It's frustrating, but he's going to wait till the summer, I think, to buy players. We're not going to be signing anyone now anyway, so we just have to get on with the squad we had.
I think you've got to appreciate that he's got his targets and he'll wait for them. I think that's intelligent, mature management.
Yeah, that's why the owners love him. He have his ways of doing it, and he's doing it proper. And the owners are not going to just waste millions on a player that Klopp don't really want, and they're not. They have structures, and the way they do it, they analyse players, and it's numbers based that Liverpool sign a player. What he's going to and how he's going to fit into the Liverpool way of doing it. Because if he signs a player and he's not going to do things the way Klopp wants him to, and he don't work off the ball, so that's just the way Klopp is. And he's going to bring in a player if Genie goes, who will be similar to Wijnaldum, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Liverpool will have their own targets.
Yeah, they've got
Yeah.
a certain way of playing, haven't they? And they'll bring a certain personnel in to play that specific role in the team. You got to admire it. He had it at Borussia Dortmund as well. He's been very consistent, Klopp, with that. I actually really I'm a big advocate of, no, do you know what? He ain't the right player. I'm not going to get him because he's available. I'm going to wait and get this boy because he's going to fit the role perfectly.
Yeah, it's the way he is, you know. Even if a world-class player comes up and everyone says, "Oh, we want to sign this lad," you know, Klopp is just not just going to go in and buy him because everyone else says they want him. You know, if he don't fit into the way Klopp wants to play, it might be something small, but he won't go out and spend the money on him. That's just the way he is. And look what he's after doing with teams over the last couple of years. You can't go against the man, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. Just obviously before we get to the combined 11s, I'd like to thank Dominic for coming on as well. He just had to shoot off there as well. So look, I do thank Dominic for coming on. He is a legend, and do check out his YouTube channel, United Sauce UFC. For all the content he did also done a Manchester United versus Liverpool preview tonight. Do check that out. They done combined 11s and stuff like that as well, and also other talking points like that. So do definitely go over and check them out after you've finish off you and us today if you'd like. But we'll come to the part of the show in terms of combined 11s. I always, when I get opposition fans on the show, whether from Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool or City, any other opposition fans who I've had on the show in the last couple of months, combined 11s have stirred up quite a debate, and they've kind of opened eyes in terms of kind of what both fans think of kind of each other's teams. So for me, this is going to be kind of a great part of the show to get kind of both Jamie's and Jack's thoughts kind of on a combined 11 if you're put on the spot to pick one. So Jamie, I'm going to come to you first in terms of both United and Liverpool. Give me your Manchester United and Liverpool combined 11.
I did one of these last week. It was quite entertaining when I went on the Copite podcast. Me and Nick did one, and it was quite an interesting little conversation. So hopefully a little bit more of the same. I went for De Gea in goals. Now I'll tell you why I went for De Gea. I just think he's been consistently good for a long time at Man U. I think Alisson's a better goalkeeper than him now. But I had to be loyal to De Gea because he's saved us so many seasons. I can see Jack smiling. He's thinking, what's he doing here? For a second, he's not a better goalkeeper, Jack. He is a better goalkeeper. But I just have to be loyal to Dave. Sorry, Dave and all that. But I do think Alisson's in the top three best. I don't think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. I think Oblak is. But I think he's definitely in the top three. Top four. I'd probably say only Donnarumma and Oblak, and maybe Ederson. Ederson's better.
I'm going to jump in right there. Alisson is way better than Ederson. I have to jump in there.
Yeah. Okay.
He played ahead of me with the Brazil side.
I don't pick who's the best. I just say my opinion. I'm gonna go with De Gea. I'm gonna be consistent, but I know fine well Jack's the opposite way, and I'm not saying he's wrong for a second, but I'm going to Dave. Right back, I went for Trent Alexander-Arnold, but seeing him recently, awful defensively. I'm going to stick with him because I really like his attacking game, and I know he's not been great, but I do really. His delivery for a right back is absolutely fantastic. I think Wan-Bissaka shows him up big style defensively, but then Trent's better going forward than Wan-Bissaka. If you put them both together, that's the best right back in the world. You have
a perfect right back. If you combine Trent Alexander-Arnold and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you have the best right back in the world, 100%. Like if you combine them two and molded them into one right back, absolutely.
Yeah. That's your modern day Cafu. That if you put them both together. Centre back pairing, with a fit Van Dijk, obviously he goes straight in there without a shadow of a doubt. I picked when I'd done the show last week. I picked Bailey next to him because I just really rate him. I think he's got everything you need in a quality centre back apart from the pace. So I would go with Bailey and Maguire. Bailey and Van Dijk, sorry. I think a lot of people would probably pick Maguire. Maybe they would pick Gomez, but that's who I would go for. On the left, I do like Andy Robertson. I think he's a quality left back, but I don't see what he offers that what Luke Shaw doesn't offer either. So it's quite a tough one. I would go with Robertson purely for the fact that I think he's better going forward, and I like attacking fullbacks. But I don't think Luke Shaw's too far behind him at all. I actually don't really like Robertson as a person. I think he's got a major.
Oh, gee, this wasn't a personal thing, Jamie. Jesus Christ.
What's that?
This is a combined 11, not if you think if he's a dickhead or not. Like,
I just don't like him, mate. Like I don't know what it is about him. But I would go for Robinson because he's a better attacking fullback. Defensive midfield. Yeah,
there's only one. Oh, you went to Thiago. I would have went Fabinho. Like I suppose my team's based on current form and availability. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah.
I just really like Thiago, mate. Fantastic wherever he's been in his career. Pretty gutted he didn't come to us, to be honest with you. But yeah, I wouldn't argue with Fabinho. I'd go, and this is not based on a formation. It's based on just a glamour team, so to speak. So I would go Bruno Fernandes and Pogba in the middle. I would go Mane on the left, Salah on the right, and I would go for Cavani up front. But I feel like Rashford could get in that team as well. But I just think that front three's brilliant, and you know I'm a bit of a advocate of Mr. Cavani, so I can't leave him out. But he got him to leave Rashford out, so I do love Rashford. But how can you argue with that front three? And that team is absolutely quality, and Dave starts as well.
Dude, on that note, I'm going to come to Jack with Jack's combined 11 because the minute I seen Jack's eyes go up to God, the minute I seen David De Gea come in ahead of Alisson. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go straight to Jack in terms of the combined 11. What's your combined 11? I'm guessing you have a different goalkeeper.
Ah, yeah, 100%. Alisson's in there all day.
Joking.
I'll go on just who's available now and stuff like that, you know, because obviously Van Dijk and that will get into all day long, you know. Yeah, Alisson will be in there all day. I would go Trent. Wan-Bissaka is better defensively, but it's easier work personally on a fellow who can do the defensive side. You can't tell Wan-Bissaka to do what Trent is doing. You either have that or you don't, you know. But it's easier to work with a player and try coach him into positioning wise and stuff. That'll come like with the older he gets and stuff like that, you know. I would go Trent. I go Fabinho, Maguire. I just think Fabinho last week was unbelievable. Like 1v1 with Rashford puts on the burners and everyone else there, and he gets back and makes a challenge there. You know, he's been brilliant since he's been in there this year, and look, he don't complain or nothing, you know, and you never see him really injured or anything. He can play anywhere. Like he played right full for Monaco and that as well, you know, and defensive midfielder. He's a dream manager's dream. He's brilliant. So I like going on currently now. He's been playing centre half, so I'd put him in there with Maguire. I would play Robertson left foot. Shaw's been doing well, you know, and I do like Shaw, but I put Robertson in. I think Robertson is just quality. Like defensive midfielder, I'd have Henderson. He's over the last few years, he's been unbelievable, you know. And I'm not going to really play with an out striker here, just because I think the two wide forwards are just going to do it for me anyway. So I'd play Thiago on one side of it, and I'd play Pogba on the other side.
Interesting.
Just because
I think I know where you're going with this. Just
because like Henderson will cover ground for anyone, then he's a machine, like, you know. So I'd leave the kind of two boys float around, and Pogba is is athletic as well, you know. He gets around, like, so Thiago is just Thiago. He's on.
Don't leave Bruno out, Jack.
I know.
No.
I'm gonna play Bruno kind of as a 10 with a free role, and then I'm gonna play Mane and Salah. Like they come out to in anyway. So Firmino, he'll play the Firmino role. Really, that'd be my combined 11.
Jack's combined 11 has just confirmed something that I confirmed on a Rivals podcast recently. Fernandes plays Firmino's role. That just confirms it. So people who dismiss me on that podcast, I'm speaking to a professional footballer here who's also a Liverpool fan who just confirmed that to me. So
I play in the 10 as well. So that role, I think he do that role unbelievable as well. Not just because you're going on form, and Firmino hasn't been in form. So
yeah,
I like Firmino and the stuff he does off the ball and what he does for Liverpool. But on form, I put that's what my combined 11 would be.
Do you play that role at the moment in your team?
I play in the 10, kind of a free role, and you kind of make stuff. You have to kind of make stuff happen when you're in there, and if you're not, you shouldn't be playing. It's as simple as that. Your production has to be you're either setting up goals, you're creating chances, you're scoring goals. That's what a 10 is.
What does your manager say to you then? Because I'm a coach at a younger level, so it's quite interesting to talk to a lad that plays in the game. What does your manager say to you to do then? Is he more looking for assists or a bit of both, goals as well?
Goals as well, he really does. He gives me the freedom, and I love playing for him. He gives me the freedom to just go and make things happen and stuff like that. It's a joy to play for him. So. But you have to be producing stuff. You have to either scoring, setting up, or even making chances for other people. It might be an assist, but you're still making a chance. But if you see someone who have the talent, or you think he's going to suit my team down to the ground, just keep filling them with confidence and just go out and just if you fill someone with confidence, they're going to give you everything anyway.
Yeah, I tried to play that role. I played for a Pacific manager when I was a bit younger, and he dropped me just behind the front striker, and I found it quite difficult because I was always an out-and-out goal, striker. I was a good finisher, scored a lot of goals when I was younger, and then gradually moved out to the left wing just to receive the ball a little bit wider because I had a lot of pace when I was younger. I was very fast, so beat players like that. But I struggled with it. That's why I'm asking what your manager sort of asks you to do in that team. So it's the most important player in the team, I think.
It's the hardest position as well to play.
Yeah, defensive midfield is a really hard position to play. Don't get me wrong, because you've got to be very disciplined defensively, but you've got to be good on the ball. But I would say that 10 and that kind of false 9 that Bobby plays in real life, a very tough position, that.
Yeah, because you get criticised so much as well, So
yeah, I bet.
It's one you just have to kind of get on with as well,
Yeah,
maybe 100%. We'll get on the road one day and Keane can take me to where you play. We'll come and give you a watch.
Absolutely.
Give you an out of 10 on your paper.
I'm going to give my combined 11 here. I've been mulling over this kind of all day, because the players I didn't want to leave out, players who I wanted to put in there, but I had to be kind of honest on kind of current form and current availability, and obviously I had to stay loyal to my club as well. So everyone knows when it comes to me, Manchester United, Liverpool, the rivalry is there. I've a load of friends and family who are Liverpool fans, and we give each other an awful slag. And if anyone went on my Twitter in the last 24 hours, Jamie, you've seen it. I've had a bit of fun in the last kind of 24 hours, and I've got it back as well. So I always have banter with rival fan bases. It's always the way. But when it comes to combined 11s like this, I do tend to. I always have to put a lot of thought into it, because if you had to create a team, and being in coaching myself, you have to be honest. You can't have too much loyalty to players. So first of all, my goalkeeper is Alisson. I think, when you look at the last 2 seasons, Alisson has been the top goalkeeper in the Premier League. Now, despite the mistake last night with the penalty, Alisson still has been the top goalkeeper in the Premier League. And you can't take that away from him. So on that basis, I watched him play at Old Trafford last season. I went to United Liverpool at Old Trafford, and just how I like the way how he kind of commands his box. I think he's very good at that. His distribution from the back is very good. He can play the sweeping role as well.
Yeah,
which is something.
Keeper, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that with that, like that's one thing. Even when David De Gea was at his glory days, like at his best form, that's one thing David De Gea never actually had was distribution and the sweeping part of the game, which is very important in this day and age, especially when you're playing out from the back and you play a high line. So I think on that basis, I do have to go with Alisson. Right back was the worst part of the team for me, because yes, Trent Alexander-Arnold, he was my player of the season last season, and he's fantastic going forward. I think both him and Aaron Wan-Bissaka have both been very poor this year. Both of them have been very poor. Like I said this to an Arsenal fan earlier on today, when I was talking to him, I said if there was an alternative right back that either club had, United or Liverpool, they'd be in there right now, because both of them are so off form at the moment. But again, if you need someone to give us that production on the right hand side, I'm going Trent Alexander-Arnold on that basis that he can whip in the cross, he can score free kicks, he can take corners. And look, we do have enough defensive cover with the two centre halves that, for me, I think, look, there's enough recovery pace there to cover Trent if he does get caught going forward. So Trent is my right back. My left back, again, this was a hard one because Andy Robertson, I don't know if Jack would probably agree with me on this, but I think he's been Liverpool's best player this season. I think he's been fantastic. He's been probably the one player in all Liverpool starting 11 who has been consistently good all season. Now you've seen like Salah and Mane, they've had their drop-offs. Robertson has been very, very consistent, and he's been consistent throughout the season for Liverpool. So like on the basis of that, like Andy Robertson is my left back in here in this combined 11.
Consistent, opening his gob as well.
Jamie, you need to leave that goal, man.
I really like him as a player, Keane, but see, as a human being, like, I don't know, it's just not like.
Jamie, you need to leave that goal, man. This is a combined 11, boy.
I can't. Sorry, Jack.
He has to go and watch the thing him and Trent done in the car, and he'll change his mind because Robertson's a legend.
Yeah, but you see how much, like, he's always getting involved. He even done it last night. He wasn't even involved with that little scuffle, and there he is straight away. Just like,
but you want that in your team, though. You want that. But how many times? Look, Jamie, I'm actually going to pose this to you right now. But Jamie, I'm going to pose this to you right now, right? Because you talk about like players and you talk about characters in your team. There's one thing Roy Keane says, and like we all watch football. We watch Roy Keane's punditry, right? You always want players who you can go to the trenches with, right? That's a phrase he'd use. You go to the trenches with, right? I know what you're saying in terms of Robertson getting involved, but how many times over the years have Manchester United have a scuffle? Rooney scuffling with someone, or Ronaldo's getting busted in the corner. Who would be the first player to run over? That's the both of you.
I'll give you that.
Roy Keane.
I'll give you that. I'm not judging him. Like, I don't even know him. You know, I'll never meet him in my life. But it's just the way he seems to come across. But it's
you met Henderson and JD Sports, though. You met Henderson and JD Sports, so you never know.
I did see Selfridges in Manchester. Yeah, that was quite interesting. Give me a little nod of approval.
But yeah, like, look, in terms of that, like, look, I think Andy Robertson is a class left back, and the fact that he came from Scotland and Hull City, like, I think that was a shrewd buy for Liverpool, 7-8 million, like, and again, like, even though I have Robertson in the team, I do echo Jack's thoughts with Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw has been fantastic for Man United this season. I think the purchase of Alex Telles has done a lot for him in terms of it's brought him to that next level. It's brought him to that level. He knows he needs to be consistent, because if he isn't consistent, he's out of the team. It's simple as that. So I think Luke Shaw deserves a shout out for his form this season, but he doesn't get into this team at the moment because Andy Robertson has been quite good. We've a comment in here from Kevin Kennedy, who's usually on the podcast. Picture of Butters actually is his picture. What the fuck? It says Trent is 18 crosses, 0 completed. Aaron Wan-Bissaka 0 crosses ever. Yeah, I probably agree with the 0 crosses ever part. But yeah, look, that's my two fullbacks. My two centre halves. Fabinho is one of my centre halves. I thought he was outstanding at Anfield last week, and he's just a great player, all round fantastic footballer. Back in 2017 when Manchester United signed Nemanja Matic, Jose Mourinho actually wanted Fabinho first as his first signing. Ed Woodward, with his great wisdom, went in and bought Nemanja Matic for 40 million. Now, look, Nemanja Matic has been a good player for us over the years. He's been here, but Fabinho is a destroyer. And you think about Manchester United's problems with defensive midfield. we've seen that if you had a defensive midfielder who can do the job Fabinho does, you could play Pogba and Bruno in there in doing the two advanced roles. We wouldn't have to play the McFred partnership. In that regard, I think if we bought him in 2017, we would have a lot better results over the years. But again, I do admire him. He is a fantastic footballer, and for me, I think Fabinho's my centre half at the moment because I'm basing this team on current form and current availability, and he's in there. Harry Maguire misses out. This is another thing I debated today. Harry Maguire has been fantastic this season since the Spurs game. Because the Spurs game he got tore apart, but since then he's been very consistent in centre half. He's done a fantastic job, and look, we're top of the league at the moment, so no one can really take that away from him. Like, if you're getting results, you need to be solid at the back, regardless of how many goals you score. You need to have a solid centre back pairing. I think Harry Maguire has been very good this season in that regard. But because he's available, my man's getting in here centre half is Eric Bailly. Again, as I said to you when Trent was named in the team, I was like, you need two centre halves with recovery pace to cover Trent when he's going forward. And look, every time you see Eric Bailly plays in this Manchester United team, it raises our back four up levels. He has that recovery pace. He's great in the air. He actually breaks out the back as well with the ball, and he brings the ball forward. Even though sometimes, look, he does things a bit crazy. He gives me heart palpitations every time he gets the ball because you just don't know what he's going to do. But more often than not, it's calculated madness with Eric Bailly. And look, I think if he could stay injury free for the rest of the season, it could be crucial for Man United in terms of moving forward in the league. But look, we all know he's as Keane referenced. I don't know what Liverpool player it was last week, but he said he's made out of Kinder Buenos. I'm going to share Keith's thoughts now. I think Eric Bailly's made out, like, his legs are made out of Kinder Buenos. Like, he's getting injured every couple of weeks. Like, do you know what I mean?
That was Matip, he said as well.
It was Matip. He was on about Joel Matip when he said he was made out of Kinder Buenos. Yeah, but like, I think
that would be my centre back pairing. If I was going off of, I know I picked Van Dijk, but he's not fit. But that would be my centre back pairing.
Van Dijk isn't fit, so. Like, Van Dijk isn't fit, so when you put it into that perspective,
I should have thought about that, to be fair, when I was doing mine.
Yeah, but look, we're doing on current form, current availability. So look, it's fine. Whatever way you want to do it, it's absolutely fine. But look, Eric Bailly and Fabinho are my two centre halves. Even though, look, shout out to Harry Maguire, he's been quite good. Now, my defensive midfielder here. This is the thing. Shane Dowley, he's meant to be here tonight, but unfortunately he's not, and he's gonna kill me for this inclusion. And I know later on in the group chat I am getting absolutely abused, but he's getting in there. Jordan Henderson is my holding midfielder. Jordan Henderson is my holding midfielder in this team. I think, look, you seen last night. I'm going to bring up last night as a big example. When Jordan Henderson is not in that Liverpool team, he's a massive, massive loss. Like, I gave him. I said previously that I don't rate him, but you see his leadership in the Liverpool team. And what he does in terms of work rate, in terms of covering space, he's been absolutely fantastic. And like, you've seen it last night again, even on Sunday against United as well, he was quite solid at centre back. So Jordan Henderson gets into this team for me at holding midfield, and look, he's someone who brings a lot to Liverpool in terms of his leadership and his overall kind of qualities in that regard. So Jordan Henderson is my holding midfielder there. My two midfielders.
Does he play there for Liverpool, Keane? Does he play there for Liverpool? I don't watch Liverpool enough to. He plays in that hole, does he?
Yeah, when either him or
Fabinho or Thiago played in that role, and he played in one of the two.
Henderson plays there.
Okay.
This season, because obviously Fabinho's been playing centre half predominantly, and Henderson has played that role. Then you had Wijnaldum or someone else, and Curtis Jones or something either side of him.
I know he can play it. I just wasn't sure whether he does play it in that team. I thought Fabinho or Thiago played defensive midfield for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know he can play. I was just being nosy, really, because Jack obviously watches Liverpool a lot more than I do. So I was just wondering if he does play that role or not.
Yeah, 100%. And look, for me, my two other midfielders in this team, Thiago misses out, and the only reason why he's missing out is he's only been back for a couple of games. He is a quality midfield player, but I have to do it based on current form and current availability, and he's only been back, 2-3 games since the Southampton game. So for me, on that basis, he misses out just on current form, and the fact he's only been available for a couple of weeks. Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes are my two midfielders in here, because look, I think since Leipzig, Paul Paul Pogba has probably been Manchester United's best player. At the end of the day, I still think in the summer he should go because, like, look, he's not happy at the club. His agent causes a circus, and I think, for all things considered, for Man United, I think I did say that the Paul Pogba experiment failed. Now, hopefully, Pogba proves me wrong and wins us a trophy this season. Hopefully, the league. But look, I do have to be honest when I say, like, I don't agree with his agent and all them antics, and I'm sick to death of it. So, in that regard, I think if he wins us a trophy this year, I'll be happy to see him move on. And best of luck to him in that regard. But again, I'll never be abusive towards a player. I'll never kind of say, like, get the fuck out and stuff like that. I'm just like, I stay level headed. I'm like, look, he's an asset at the moment. You obviously if he can wait till the end of the season, hopefully he stays on form, maximize his value, and then hopefully then he has a good Euros. You know yourself what happens when a player has good Euros or a World Cup, the price tag bumps up. So look, hopefully he can play well for the rest of the season, play well in the Euros, and then we get the 89 million or so back for him, and then we can go in for maybe a Jack Grealish or something like that in the summer. But in that regard, Paul Pogba is obviously in my midfield. And look, I'm not even going to make an excuse why Bruno Fernandes is in my midfield because I'm Bruno FC. That's enough said. I have a comment in here from Tim. Tim has said, where's it gone? Please make them cry Sunday, please. Tim, I'm nearly in Twitter jail with Donald Trump at the moment, so I think I've gone a bit too far recently, so I think I'll have to tone it down. And Tim has also said, it's popping up here, Klopp just taught my daughter to count to 6. Oh, for fuck's sake. But yeah, like,
getting a bit too excited there, someone.
But my front three.
Stick off of years for 3 years, Jack. Give us a little bit.
You won the January Cup.
The only reason we're so happy is because yous are a better team than us at the moment. That's us just being honest. So the fact that we're doing better than yous, just let us gloat. Just let us gloat, Jack.
The bit of banter is grand, isn't it?
The banter is grand. Like, like, look, at the end of the day, like, I've said it on this show, right? When you have the banter with rival fans, it's funny. Like, do you know what I mean? You have a bit of crack. Now, obviously, like, look, I was on Twitter there 2 weeks ago, and I was messing around kind of with, like, Liverpool fans, and my DMs, people are sending me saying, like, you better be careful next time you go to Manchester. Like, I'm like, all right, pal, yeah, no bother. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just apples and pears. Like, it's just fucking hilarious. Like, but
Yeah.
look, there's not like a bit of banter between rival fans. Because look, I think the last 7 years we haven't been able to have the banter, but it's been good to be back in the conversation and, like, actually, like, chat with fans, and, like, it's all. Like, look, at the end of the day, it's all just for a laugh. Like, do you know what I mean?
You need that.
You've got to enjoy it while it lasts, man, because he's going to come back soon. So I'm on the roller coaster of just enjoy it while it lasts, because it ain't going to last very long. You're too good of a team. So just give me my moment, Jack. Don't judge.
I was getting private messages off people I never even seen in my life. Picture of Liverpool, the wheels are falling off the bus and all this. I said, who are these lads at all? Like,
that's your rival fans that you've got on Saturday.
probably, yeah.
Oh, stop. But I'm going to come to my front three, lads, because this part of the team, because of there's so much things going on, in terms of current form for both teams, I found this quite hard. Mohamed Salah gets in at right wing for me. Now, people will say Liverpool's form is falling off. They scored 1 goal in 90 shots or whatever. But when you consider he's the top goal scorer in the Premier League this season, even when his performances have been lacking, his production has been there. Like, that's a very important thing for me, is production. So on that basis, Mo Salah does get in at right wing. Left wing, I found this hard because I love Sadio Mane, right? I remember back in 2015 when Manchester United made a 36 million bid for him to Southampton, and Southampton rejected it. I think Louis van Gaal would have ruined him if Louis van Gaal got his hands on him. And I really wanted Mane. I think he's a quite direct player, and I think he's fantastic. But I've left Mane out of this team, and I really regret it, because I think he is a fantastic player. And I know the fact that I've left him out, he's going to score on Sunday. He's going to score the winner. I think this is going to happen.
Sure, Keane, put him back in.
No. I have to stick to my guns. In terms of my combined 11 on current form and current
What I will say
availability.
about Mane, right? Sorry to cut you off, but just to see if Jack agrees with me, right? Seeing Mane on this day, I think he's the best player in the Premier League.
Yeah, he
And I
probably
don't
is.
like maybe there's people that think I'm crazy, but I rate him that highly. I've seen him at his peak with Liverpool in the past few years, and he is unplayable when he's on his game. He's a fantastic football player. I think it's just I think Real Madrid have been sniffing around him for a few years, and I think he could potentially leave Liverpool in a couple of seasons maybe. But what a player, man! He must be fantastic to watch when he's in full flow. Because I enjoy watching him, and I don't like Liverpool doing well, as you can imagine. But what I generally do think him and De Bruyne are the best players in the league when they're both on form.
You like watching all the best players anyway, you know, no matter who they play.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. We all do. Even when Eden Hazard left the Premier League last year, I was sickened because I loved watching Hazard. He was a fantastic footballer, and I think it's great when in the Premier League when all of the top players are in the league, because again it highlights how it's the best league in the world, you know. So for me, look, I think when Liverpool get rid of him, they'll get rid of him in about 2 years' time when he's past his peak. Liverpool are good at they're shrewd at doing it though. Liverpool are very shrewd when they get rid of a player. Coutinho, Fernando Torres, players like that who are coming towards the end of that kind of peak time, and then they get rid of him for a big transfer fee. Do you know what I mean? When we look at deals like that, Liverpool are very smart in the way they kind of operate in that regard. So don't be surprised. Mane's 28, 29 now. Salah's 28. Don't be surprised when you see Liverpool sell them players on when they're about 31.
I think some players need to look at that as well, Keane. You know, when you're saying they move on, like Hazard, for example, and Eriksen. I think they need to sort of have a little look at that, like Mane and players like that are thinking about going abroad, because Eriksen was fantastic at Tottenham. Hazard was the best player in the Premier League on his day when he was at Chelsea, and their careers have just went. I know Hazard's got a bit of time on his hands, and he's had a tough time at Real Madrid, but the grass ain't always greener, I don't think, you know. So maybe the Manes and that will maybe stick around in the Premier League for the foreseeable, because maybe they look at players like that. But I feel like certain players, although playing for Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus is appealing as a football player. I know I would like to play for them teams if I played professionally, but there's been some really good players that it hasn't worked out. So maybe some players will look at that.
You know, one thing as well that it's surprising, you know, you don't see too many African players go out to like Real Madrid and Barcelona, and that the only one I can really think of the last couple of years has been Samuel Eto'o, you know. They seem to go to United, and Liverpool seem to be the two top teams out in Africa, you know. The players seem to want to always go to them two clubs. You never really see players go to Real Madrid or Barcelona, you know. Especially
even look at that, Jack.
That's a really good point.
That's a really good point, and you actually that's not the head now, because even look at players like, I know Odi and Igalo went out to China and stuff like that, to after Watford and stuff like that. Like he said, Man United was my dream club, and he went there on loan. You look at like Michael Essien down the years, another great player in the Premier League. You know, he went to Chelsea. Didier Drogba, another one. Like there's so many players like in the African nations, like all them countries. Look at players traditionally in the Premier League. Stephen Pienaar at Everton, though, from South Africa. You know, there is many players that from that part of the world that they do mainly come to the Premier League. You're absolutely right. There's not many players that have actually went to Spain.
Yeah, that is a really good point, to be fair. Where did Essien go after Chelsea? Did he go to Real Madrid?
Yes, I think he did, didn't he? He was there on loan.
Did he go? I can't lie. I'm second guessing myself. Did he go?
There's not that many like that go out there. You see, like the likes of South Americans, Coutinho, like their dream is to play with Barcelona and Real Madrid, you know. So you can kind of see why they tend to go that way. But the Africans, they love Liverpool, Man United over there.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I'm going to do some research on that, because I love to do my research on kind of these things. You just brought up a new topic for the weekly Armchair podcast, the normal Premier League pod. I'm going to do a bit of research now for the next Premier League pod. Yeah, I was thinking that. But he's just gave me a new topic now for one of the next podcasts going forward, even though I'll elaborate on kind of what's coming next at the end of the show because I do have to let you know about something. But my striker
You named
today.
after me. Yeah.
It'd be Jack's little segment on the show going forward. But the striker in my team is Edison Cavani. I think, like, look, when you look at Cavani, when you look at both teams, he's the most out and out striker out of both teams. His movement on and off the ball, he's just a proper number 9. I think that's one thing that both teams are lacking, is a proper number 9. Like, as Jamie said at the top of the show, if Liverpool had an Erling Haaland, or if they had someone of that ilk, they'd be in a lot better position. I think Man United, we're kind of good in the way we've Cavani in there, because I think he's a player who is very important, for not so much for a season this year, but like even just important in terms of like the likes of Mason Greenwood's development. I think Mason Greenwood, he's primed to be Manchester United's next number 9, and I think learning off Edison Cavani can do a lot for him in terms of learning about movement off the ball, in terms of like the way he trains, stuff like that. I think for Mason, I think that's very, very important. And I think, like, when you look at Cavani's overall impact this season, like I remember I was on this podcast back in October when we signed him, and I went ballistic. I thought it was a panic signing. It went against what Man United are trying to do in terms of how we're going for kind of the development road now and buying young players. And we could have signed him 8 weeks before we signed him. I thought, like, look, this is another Woodward signing. But when you actually take it into consideration what he's actually done since he's come in, I fully hold my hands up and say, look, I'm sorry, because he's been a fantastic footballer, and like his impact on, like, coming off the bench, we've seen now when he started to start games, he's been fantastic. So, like, look, for me, Edison Cavani gets in as a striker, but obviously, look, Marcus Rashford did get on the left side for me. But if Mane was on form, no question, he gets in as the left-sided player. Marcus Rashford probably goes in as a striker. But I do have to go on current form and current availability, and Cavani's been on form for United the last kind of couple of months. So that's our combined 11s. And very interesting choices by both Jack and Jamie. And I just want to shout out Jack's team again about Bruno and that false 9 role. I wasn't fucking wrong. And people might think they're living rent free in my fucking head, but I wasn't wrong, and I just want to point that out just for that moment.
That wouldn't be my 11, Keane, if I was picking the teams for both teams, by the way. That's just like a fantasy 11. I think the Bruno and Pogba, Thiago, there's a little bit too much sort of football in there and not enough workmanlike players.
You can never have too much football. Yeah, you can never have too much football. Yeah, absolutely.
Luke Shaw could have gotten ahead of Robinson as well, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave that at that.
I'm joking.
I'm just going to come to both of you quickly, and before we get to our score prediction, I'm just going to come to both of you quickly, just in terms of your starting 11s for both your sides for the weekend, in terms of what you'd like to see. So I'm going to come to Jack first from a Liverpool perspective. What starting 11 would you like to see Liverpool line up with on Sunday?
I think he'll go strong. I don't think there'll be much of a difference to what he went last week. I don't think, if Matip is fit, Matip will play centre half. Hopefully he didn't get another injury last night. You just don't know with that fella. But I'd say it'll be the same back four. I don't think Klopp is going to change it up much. He rested Firmino and Salah and them yesterday, so they're obviously going to play. Like, they only played 20 minutes last night. They'll play. I think they'll be the same side. I think, really, like, we've no one really to bring in that's going to make much of a difference. I think he'll go with probably Henderson.
Do you maybe think Oxlade-Chamberlain maybe gets a game?
To be honest, Keane, I don't think the Ox is up to it. To be honest, since he's been back from injury, he was dreadful last night. Again, he played a few weeks ago as well. We played Newcastle. He was brutal. He's just not. He hasn't hit the ground run since he came back. I don't know what it is. Then again, the team is not firing on all cylinders lately, so it's kind of hard for. It's not like there's one or two players off. There's like 6 or 7 players who are not firing. So it's kind of hard.
Curtis Jones might play.
He might play Curtis Jones. I think Curtis Jones is a quality player. He's been brilliant for Liverpool. I don't know what's happened the last few weeks that he hasn't been in and around it, but he could play. I think. he probably will play Wijnaldum again because Wijnaldum just seems to be never injured. He's a dream player to have because he plays every minute of every game nearly, you know.
Yeah.
If Henderson is fit, I don't know what his situation is with his groin, so I don't know if he'll be fit or not to play, you know. So there might be a few changes, but I don't think he'll go too far off what he went last week against G as well, you know. I think he'll go pretty strong team, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there's a lot of changes, to be honest with you, you know. Just because the results lately, I think that they need to try to get something out of the game, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Jamie, Manchester United at the moment, Ollie likes rotation. He seems to rotate teams. We've seen different midfield, different defence kind of partnerships recently. For you, what would you like to see on Sunday?
Well, like if I was picking the team,
Starting 11. What starting 11 would you like to see Sunday?
the here and goals. See that little smirk, Jack. the here and goals. Although I wouldn't be against starting Henderson. I think it's probably a bit of a too big of a game for him to take that sort of gamble. But he needs to play at some point. But I would go with the here. Wan-Bissaka will play right back. I would pick him as well. I would play Bailey, but Ollie won't. Bailey played against Fulham, which tells me Lindelof's playing against Liverpool. It's just the way Ollie works. I would go with Bailey, Maguire, Luke Shaw. I would go a midfield two of Fred and Pogba. Would I? Yeah, I would. Bruno Fernandes in the Jack role, number 10. The two wingers, I would have Rashford on the left, Cavani up front, and
Greenwood? Is that who you're going for?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But I'm thinking of I've gone for a slightly different formation, maybe if it was me picking the team. But we'll go with it. I'd probably go with Greenwood because I feel like if he gets half a chance, he can finish. But I don't think he's lit up the world this season, if I'm honest. But who do you go for?
There's a lot of things going on there. Yeah,
I do get that. Yeah, of course. I understand the kid's had a really difficult time, and he's a fantastic talent, and he's dealing with a lot of stuff at the moment as well, which is a shame for such a young boy. But
something there. Do you think, like, look at the likes of Phil Foden? Like, he's been through the trenches too. You know, who would you think is the best young player? Do you think? I think Foden. I think Foden
is probably the best young English player at the moment. Like when you look at that.
He's nearly one of the best players, being best performers in the Premier League last few weeks. He's been unbelievable. You know,
he's been fantastic.
Has he been getting good? Like, Greenwood's probably one of the best finishers. You know, as a young player, he's an unbelievable finisher. But like,
he definitely isn't a right winger.
He's a striker. He's a number 9. I think that's what I even said like earlier on. Like when you look at the signing of Amad Diallo, Jack, that's that signing there, right? He's the future right winger. Man United making that signing is going to shoehorn Greenwood into number 9 role. I think that's why they're not going out and buying a number 9 this year. They're going out and giving Cavani just one more year. I think on the contract. I think that's probably what they're doing is giving Greenwood one more year to develop, and then once Cavani's second contract ends, Greenwood's going to be Man United's number 9. I think that's what the plan is. Anyway, do you know?
They should play him a lot more though in the number 9 than if they're not playing Cavani and that. You know what I mean? What's the point in playing him out right wing if you're going to be playing him in the 9 and you don't know what he's going to do in certain situations up front? You know.
I think it's a difficult decision for him, Jack Ollie, at the moment because it's like if Greenwood's not on form, like it can cost us games without having a goal scorer in the team. Do you know what I mean? I think it's such a hard decision, that one. I do get your point. I'm on your page. I'm on your page 100%. I'd just like to point that out.
I'm not on about the leagues. I'm on about you had the whole Carling Cup to play him up number 9, and if he's not doing it, just take him off. You know, it's you don't know what he's going to be like in big games then either. You know, if you're just planning on him to be your future number 9, you haven't played him up top. You know, that's, you know, you have to kind of give the kid a chance and give him a few games there. You know, but you're up the top of the league, it's not going to happen. No.
Yeah, that's it. It's hard. You can't really take gambles at the moment. We've got to try and keep winning, but I feel on the right hand side, like going off of English players, like Saka's a class player at Arsenal as well. He's going to be a really England.
William Bryant is going to love that mention, Jamie. William Bryant is going to love that one.
He is fantastic, though, isn't he? From what I've seen of him, he looks like a real quality player. And a lad I sit next to in the office, his mate, actually plays for Arsenal's under-23s. He's really good friends with him. He's from Ireland, actually. And he just says that Saka is unreal, like absolutely unbelievable. Like, as in, he's training with him week in, week out, and he just says, I've not seen a player like him. And then he's come through Arsenal this season and looked fantastic. But England have got loads of quality, good young players. But if they can nurture Greenwood into a number 9 England, when Kane eventually hangs his boots up, that's another avenue. And if he can score, if he can become a regular number 9 for United in England, it'll obviously be fantastic for us.
Yeah. One thing I'd just like to obviously point out, with regards to all this, look, there's so many good young English players in that, but I'm just going to point something else. You mentioned Saka. I know William's not going to like this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Obviously, when Arsenal finish mid-table this year, whether they finish 8th or 10th or whatever they finish, a team like United or Liverpool will maybe looking at Saka, maybe try to sway his head. Like, if he's a top player, does he want to play not in European football or anything like that? Like, I think a team like United or a team like Liverpool or even the Chelsea to that extent can maybe do what happened to Arsenal years ago with Ashley Cole and Van Persie and Fabregas and stuff like that. Go in and take him. He's a top player. Maybe a team. I think Liverpool should definitely look at him anyway. When you consider Mo Salah or Mane could be leaving him within the next year or so. I think maybe Liverpool should maybe look at Bukayo Saka. But I'm just spitballing with that there. I'm not saying that now to wind anyone up or anything, but I'm just spitballing there. But
Keane, do you think Traore will be in the squad for Sunday?
He'll be in the squad. He won't start. He might get a game depending on the way the game is going. Ideally, I'd love him to have a Martial moment, what Martial had in his debut against Liverpool, but that's highly unlikely. But I'm going to get to my starting 11, and then we're going to fly straight into our score predictions. I don't want to keep me too long.
The only reason I asked that is because, sorry, Keane, because I heard Palestri's going out on loan to Celta Vigo.
Celta Vigo, yeah.
Good move for that. Really, really, really good management from United, I think, to get him out on loan and get playing. I was waiting for him to pop up.
I was waiting for it too. I was like, I wonder, is he watching? And that just proved that he's watching. That was perfect. Yeah, but he signed a new contract, but the money talks. But anyway, right, I'm going to get to my starting 11, then we're going to fly straight into our score predictions. In goal for me, David De Gea, even though Henderson is our cup goalkeeper, I think, look, this is a big game. You do not want to lose to Liverpool. I certainly don't. So for me, David De Gea starts in goals for me all day. Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back because we've no choice. I would go Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire as the two centre-halves, even though, look, we all know Victor Lindelof is going to start at centre-half on Sunday. Luke Shaw again at left-back. I thought he was the best player on the pitch on Sunday. I thought he was absolutely outstanding against Liverpool. And I've been to a couple of United Liverpool, I've been to one United Liverpool game, and I've watched obviously every United Liverpool game since Luke Shaw signed. And one thing he has is Mo Salah's number. He every time Mo Salah plays against him, he seems to have a bit of difficulty against him. I think against Liverpool, you don't play in Alex Telles because he'll get caught too out of position and Salah will get in. I think Luke Shaw is someone who can hold Salah off in the defensive aspect. So Luke Shaw has to start for me. My two midfielders in the pivot, I'm not going McFred. I'm not going to go with it because I think Liverpool are there for the picking, and the fact we're at home, we need to be a bit more on the offense, and I think we have enough in our midfield to do it. So I'm going to go with Scott McTominay and Paul Pogba. I think Fred, he had a poor game against Liverpool on the weekend. I think he got out-strengthened a couple of times in midfield, and I think we need to be physical in midfield, and especially from set pieces as well. I think that's a vital part where we can maybe get a couple of goals on the weekend. So Scott McTominay plays there alongside Paul Pogba in the two. I don't want him to play because I'm afraid he's going to get injured, but I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandes in the number 10 because he has something to prove. And all this bullshit, I'm going to just address it as well. I wasn't going to address it on the show because I don't address things on a preview, but I'm going to anyway. To see all the people who are saying that he doesn't play well against the big teams. Since Bruno Fernandes has come in to Manchester United, he's performed in all the against all the big six, bar Arsenal. Well, bar Liverpool as well, right? Bar Liverpool and Arsenal. Bruno's played well against all the big six and contributed against all them teams, right? And he's also contributed in the Champions League as well against likes of PSG and Leipzig, who are top teams. So see his little agenda you're trying to throw out there that he doesn't perform in them big games, doesn't contribute assists and score goals. Maybe educate yourselves on the game, because at the end of the day he does perform, and just because he didn't perform in 2 games of football doesn't make him a bad fucking player, considering he's still up there with the highest chances created alongside Jack Grealish at the top of the league. So maybe educate yourselves on the game called football and actually watch the game, and maybe go to Specsavers as well while you're at it as well. But I just wanted to address that because I have to.
I told me off for having a go at Robinson.
No, this is different though. This is different. This is Bruno Fernandes. This is my guy. This is my guy.
Sorry there, Keane. No, one thing they do say, and everyone always says it coming up through soccer, you only get judged on your last game. You know, that's the one thing they always say to you when you go out into the field. You get judged in your last game, everything else is gone. And he hasn't done well in many of the top 6 games. He scored a penalty against Spurs. Other than that, he didn't do much in the other games in the league. And Roy Keane is the only, came out and said it as well on Sky Sports, you know. So he didn't do well against Man City. He didn't do well against Arsenal, and Arsenal not even a top 6 team. He didn't do well against Liverpool. You know, I'm not saying I love Bruno Fernandes, and you know that more than anyone else as a player. But for me, I have to see more against the bigger teams, you know, to give you that more bit of surely he could have done more against Liverpool the other day.
Do you know what, though?
Defensive minded,
smothered every time he had the ball, though.
Do you know the thing about this is, right? Bruno had a chance against Alisson and he hit it straight at him. If he scores that goal, it was a poor finish, but if he puts that away, exactly. Do you know what though? If he scores that goal, right, we're not having this conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just little moments that cause debates like this.
Yeah, it's tough in games.
Was inches away from finding the top corner.
Yeah, but that's only bits in games where it's a dead ball situation. Like you know, you should be hitting targets from that's what I look at, because I take free kicks and all that. You have to be you should be aiming to hit the target or scoring a goal. You know, it's a dead ball situation.
You only get certain chances against Liverpool, though, don't you? It's not like you're playing West Brom where you might get 3 or 4 attempts. You only get a couple of little glimpses against top teams. So I know what you're saying. I agree.
You know,
I agree.
He might get a chance on Sunday from the penalty spot. You never know. You never know.
Beak's got to be involved as well, man. I don't know what's going on at the moment with him.
Oh, we're not going to go on this Donny tirade, because there's a Donny van der Beek party within the Manchester United fan base, and it's a weird. I don't get it. It's a weird obsession that they have with Donny, and the minute he doesn't play, there's a big social media fucking meltdown, and I don't get it, because we're winning fucking games, so why fucking complain? It's stupidity. But
they don't see him week in, week out in training either. So obviously, you know, he's obviously seeing stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is.
Yeah,
it's like there's little things that people don't see in football. Like, it's not what you see on the telly all the time. There's stuff behind it as well, you know. And he mustn't be doing it in training, because if he was, he'd be playing.
Yeah, simple as that. Again, and there you go. That's coming from someone who plays football. So again, Donny enthusiasts, get over yourselves. Simple as that. But yeah, again, I'm going to get onto the rest of my team anyway. I went on a bit of a tirade there again, but I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford on the left, because look, we all know what Marcus Rashford can do against Trent Alexander-Arnold. The proof is in the pudding. He's done it many times when he's come up against him. I think you play him out in his natural position on the left-hand side. I was at the game last season at Old Trafford, and Marcus Rashford played exceptional that day. I know Van Dijk, you know, and Fabinho kind of targeted him in certain parts of that game, but Marcus Rashford, when he plays left-hand side against Trent, he has his number, and I think that's something we do have to look at. I think I could see Ollie's thinking playing him through the middle, but against Liverpool, because of the centre back situation. But you play Marcus Rashford on the left hand side, especially against a team like Liverpool. The right hand side.
He was poor on Sunday against Liverpool, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
he was awful, actually.
He couldn't stay on side, but look, it's just one of them things. Look, he's not a number 9. He's a left-sided player. The right hand side for me, I haven't gone with Mason Greenwood either. In this regard, I've actually gone with Daniel James. Now, people are going to look at this and they're going to say, "Why the fuck is he going with Daniel James?" But I'm going to bring up 2 things. Last season, we played them at Old Trafford. Daniel James played as the right winger against them at Old Trafford. And what Daniel James done very good that day was stop the threat of Andy Robertson. In terms of his tracking back and in terms of his overall work rate. And Liverpool didn't get any chances that day. No, Adam Lallana scored that goal at Old Trafford last season. And it was a well taken finish. But when you consider Liverpool's threat predominantly comes from the fullbacks, you need, especially on a big pitch like Old Trafford, this is different than Anfield. Like Anfield is a tight pitch. Playing ball, you go to certain places and you go to certain pitches and pitches are tight and you get away with more on a tight pitch than you would on a wide pitch. I think for Man United, if you play Paul Pogba on that right hand side on Old Trafford's pitch, Andy Robertson gets dry all day on that left hand side. So for me, I think Dan James has to go in there with his defensive work rate to try to stop Andy Robertson's offensive ability. And also Dan James going forward on the break is lethal. And I think you play him the right-hand side. He also got an assist against Liverpool last season from that right-hand side to Rashford. So for me, I think to play them on the break when we're transitioning the ball quickly, I think Daniel James can be an asset that we can use on the weekend. So I'm going to go with Daniel James on the right, even though I put Henderson in my combined 11 and Daniel James in my starting 11. Shane Dowley is going to give me a heap of abuse later on. I'm actually afraid to pick up my phone later on, but that's what I think, and that's what I'm going to go with. And up front, I'm going with the man, Tarzan himself, Edison Cavani. I think, again, like, look, regardless of Liverpool centre half, whether it's Matip and it's Fabinho or if it's Henderson and Fabinho, you put Edison Cavani up top. His movement off the ball is different to what Rashford is. His work rate is a lot better than Martial's. And overall, if he gets half a chance, he's going to put that away. And against Liverpool, you're not going to get that many chances. So for me, Edison Cavani most certainly has to start the game this weekend. That's one, like, I know Bruno and Pogba are probably players you look at who are certs. Edison Cavani has to be a cert to start this weekend. His experience, his movement, his tenacity, everything. You do need that on the weekend. I think that's massively, massively important. So that's my starting 11. Probably won't happen. We're probably going to see McFred, Lindelof, Henderson's probably going to come in because it's the cup. But that's my starting 11. That's what I'd go with anyway. But we've run here an hour and a half. This has actually been a fantastic show. Enjoyed Dominic's contribution when he was on. Enjoyed Jamie and Jack's thoughts as well. Very good show. And whoever's been watching since the start, thank you for sticking with us the whole way through the show. It's been a fantastic show. But finally, last part of the show is score predictions. Now, obviously, last week, we all got it wrong, bar Kevin. Kevin was on the show and actually predicted 0-0. Remember that, Jack?
Yeah.
He predicted 0-0 and we all fucking laughed at him. We were like, wait, there's going to be goals in this game. So I'm going to be careful of my score prediction this week.
Yeah, do you know what? My head was telling me 0-0, but I said that surely they'd be goals. But
yeah,
there was,
Yeah, I think, look,
when you signing for United then, Jack?
Yeah.
When you signing for United?
He's with a club. You can't be saying that shit. You can't be saying that fucking shit. He's with a club, Jamie, for fuck's sake. But anyway, right? We'll go with our score predictions. Jamie, I'm going to come to you first. What's your score prediction for this Sunday?
I think it'll be a cagey game, mate. Both teams won't want to lose against the rival team, so I think it's going to if there's going to be a goal in it, there's not going to be a lot. Or 1-0 maybe, 1-1, maybe go down to extra time or penalties, whatever the format is. But I think it's going to be another cagey affair with whoever is more clinical in the final third wins the game for me.
Jack, what's your score prediction?
Yeah, I think it'll be 1-0. I'm not going to get too adventurous. I said 2-1 last week, so I don't think there'll be many goals as well. I think probably 1-0 or it could be a 0-0 draw again. But I don't think they. Yeah. So I think there'll be one. I think someone will win the 90 minutes. I think it'll be 1-0.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm going to go to Manchester United win. I always go to Manchester United win in the show. Even the PSG, when Shane and Scott were predicting PSG to win 3 and 4-0 to PSG, I was the only one who predicted United win on that show, and United won that day. So I'm always going to go to United win because I stay loyal to my club. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to go to Manchester United win, and I'm going to go again with a 2-1 United win. I think Liverpool will break their duck in terms of scoring goals. I think it's going to come from a counter attack as well. I think with United's big pitch, if we push high, we could get punished. So I think, look, Liverpool would score. I think Mane is going to get on the score sheet after me not putting him in my combined 11. I think that's just destined to happen. And with United, against Fulham this week, I just like to say on the show, I did predict Paul Pogba and Edison Cavani to get on the score sheet, and it did happen. And guess who didn't put on a bet? Your man here himself. So again, I'm going to go on Paddy Power, and I'm going to back this weekend this time. So I'm going to go 2-1 United, Mane to score for Liverpool. And for United, I'm going to go with Edison Cavani getting on the score sheet again this weekend. And just for the viewers who like to berate me over Bruno, it's happening fucking again. This time at Old Trafford. We didn't get it at Anfield in the Cup in injury time, but we're going to get it at the Stretford End this weekend. We're going to get a Bruno Fernandes penalty to win the game for Manchester United. And Jack's going to be sending me huge abuse on Sunday when that happens. But that's what I'm going to go with in terms of that. I'm going to go 2-1 United win. Cavani and Bruno to both get on the score sheet this weekend. And look, it could go either way. Like Liverpool could, if they turn up, they could take us to the cleaners, as I said last week. Or look, if United turn up and Liverpool don't turn up, could go the opposite way. Like with both attacks have a lot of talent in them, and I think there's a lot of room for both teams to get goals. But look, again, as I always say, it's going to be a fantastic game. Two biggest clubs in English football. I don't think anybody in their right mind can dispute that. And there's nothing better than a Manchester United versus Liverpool weekend, because it's the biggest fixture in English football. And when you consider both teams are in the title race, it just makes the rivalry that bit bigger. And you look at like chats like this tonight. In the last 7 years, Manchester United Liverpool fans would not be able to have the same conversation that we're having right now tonight. Do you know, because United have just been shocking in the last 7 years. And for the Premier League, it's much better for United and Liverpool to have this type of rivalry, because it brings more eyes onto the viewership and telly, and it's better for all concerned, because who really is interested in a Man United versus City game? Like, it's a big game for us, but like the rivalry is not proper. When you look at Liverpool, like they're our biggest rivals. Like Liverpool go on to win the title this year, we're 20 all in titles. Do you know what I mean? Like that alone, like, do you know, it makes the rivalry that bit bigger. But again, I do like to thank Jamie and Jack for coming on. Also Dominic earlier as well, for coming on. It's been a fantastic show. An hour and 37 minutes. We went well over the mark tonight. But again, like, look, this is the biggest fixture in English football. It's expected that that's going to happen. But do thank the lads for coming on. I'd just like to say as well, I'm taking a week off the channel this week. I'm not going to be back until next Friday, and so there's going to be no United show between now and next week. I am back next week with Lee Judges from Arsenal Fan TV. He's going to be joining me here next Friday, but I'm just taking a leave. It's my first week off in 9 months on the channel, so I'm taking a week off between now and Friday, and so there'll be no United show, but the London show will be back next week. Sean Maroney will be doing 2 London shows next week. He'll be hosting the Tottenham versus Liverpool preview, and also we will have the Manchester United versus Arsenal preview on the London show next week, where, you know, Sean will be hosting William and also a Man United fan. So we're going to get the London perspective on the United game next week, and obviously then we'll have the United perspective on the Arsenal game next week with Lead next Friday. So I'll be gone for the whole week. If you're wondering where I am on the channel next week, don't worry, I will be back Friday. I'm just taking a leave of absence for the first time in 9 months, because I need it. I do need it. So, you know, that needs to happen. But we will be back next week, and there'll still be content flowing regardless. So do tune in. And as ever, look, do like this video, do subscribe, do share the video as well out to your friends and whoever is interested in football, because we do chat not only just Manchester United on this channel, but we do chat all things Premier League as well, and we do cover a lot, and also MMA. So I know you'll all be watching the McGregor fight tomorrow, so let's hope McGregor does the business there as well. But thanks everyone for watching, and look, we'll be back next week.